Good morning. It's still morning here in Pennsylvania, Lansdale, Pennsylvania. Um, it's May 3rd, 2026. I'm going to take a dose of my ivermectin, and I know I've shared that a few times, but I will share it again. And last night I went to sleep without my bandana. I thought, okay, I'm feeling all right, I'll take it up. Sometimes I put it on and it just stays on because it holds my brain together. But I woke up with a headache. So I woke up and I laid there for a bit, and I'm telling myself, you got to get up and take something for that headache, which one thing is the bandana. The other thing is I went to my drawer and got myself a BC powder. So I took a BC powder and put my bandana on. And it does help. It does. Even if people do not understand it, like my daughter, she does not understand it. She thinks that me tying it around my head would make it worse. And you might would think so. I mean, especially if you got it really super tight. But it has to be just the right tightness. It can't be sitting there loose. I mean, even sitting there loose, it is helpful. And especially these days, my headaches are not like they were years ago when they pounded. My temples would just pound with every pulse, with every beat of my heart. It would pound and it would hurt. So I found ways to get around that. But it took me a long time to figure those things out. But one was my mother brought me a BC powder and Pepsi. Now, the Pepsi, yes, it has caffeine in it, but so does the BC powder. But the Pepsi, for me, it's just really weird because when you look at the sugar content, the carbs, it's high. But yet you don't taste it like it's sweet. Unless you've got it flat. I mean, once it's flat, it tastes like syrup, and I don't like that. I need the fizz. But it's the fizz that I needed. So it's not necessarily that it has to be Pepsi. However, like I said, well, I didn't say it just now, but the thing is, I can't have sweet stuff. Sweet stuff makes me sick. So, like I could have a carbonated drink, whether it be an orange Fanta or anything that's got carbonation in it. But if it's sweet, it's not going to, it's an adverse effect. But the thing is, to get the BC powder out of your mouth immediately. So you have your Pepsi ready, even if you just open a bottle. I like to pour it over ice. But the point is, the BC powder, it is a powder, and it goes on your tongue, and if you can't get it out of your mouth and you're not used to it, it's like, I gave my brother one, and he didn't realize that he needed to have something to drink with it, and I thought he understood that. And so he puts this BC powder on his mouth, and he's going, ah! I can't see my hands, he's going, ah! It's not funny if it's you, but I know exactly what he was going through. But once you've taken BC a lot, or even a little, you've got the tricks of the trade, so to speak. Like you put this BC powder in your mouth, and it's not tasty. I think they have made some that have a good taste to them, though. Seems like I saw that before, like a cherry flavor or maybe an orange flavor. I don't know. But that, like I said, if it's a sweetness, then it doesn't work for me. And for some reason, Pepsi is not. When it's fresh out of the bottle and the carbonation, maybe the carbonation takes over, but it's not a sweet taste. But the point is, you have your drink, your fizzy drink. Whichever kind of drink you got that's carbonated is the best because it helps get it out of your mouth, okay? So you put this BC powder on your tongue, and you immediately have a drink. Swish it around, and away it goes, and you don't taste it. And like I started to say, you know what's coming when you've taken them a few times, and you can actually shut off in your brain. It seems like you can shut off those taste buds, so it's not so bad. But my brother will never, ever take a BC powder again because he didn't realize he needed to have that carbonated drink to go with it. But the thing about BC is, well, first of all, it's all aspirin. It's all aspirin except for the caffeine. I think there's 65 milligrams of caffeine with about 845 milligrams of aspirin. And I know there's different, I was going to say derivatives. There's different powders that you can get that might have the Tylenol mixed with the aspirin. But nevertheless, that BC powder will take not even 15 minutes. Maybe I'll say 30, but under a half an hour to get rid of a migraine or to get rid of those headaches that I used to get. I mean, she brought that over to me, and here's the neat thing about that. I just wanted to give you the little story in case you didn't hear it when I said it years ago on one of these videos. The story is I was plagued with headaches, super bad, and they would be pounding, like I said. And I didn't know the tricks back then. I just knew I couldn't hold on to my head. It was horrible. The light bothered me, noise bothered me, everything. And I would throw up with it too. But my mother brings me this BC powder. And I'm sure she had to have brought a Pepsi or something similar to that. And I took the BC powder. And it wasn't long before I went and threw it up. That's not a normal situation. I was already past the mark where I was in horrible shape, okay? So, I take this BC powder, and I throw it up. But evidently, it had time to get into my system, because within a half an hour, the headache was not gone, but I was able to function. I could sit up and have a conversation. I didn't have to need to be in a room that's dark and no noise and stuff. So I've given these tricks before. If you're plagued with headaches or you know somebody who is, first of all, I swear by BC powder. I mean, I wouldn't say take it over and over and over again in a day, but it gets rid of body aches. It gets rid of pain, maybe even teeth pain. But in this situation, yeah, like I said, I threw that up, or I threw something up, and still I was able to function within a half an hour. And I don't think you can say that about migraine headaches. Now, I was just over at my granddaughter's house, really, house sitting and cat sitting, so the cats wouldn't be alone. Plus, it gave me a respite to where I was just in a house by myself, except for these two cats. And at first, they weren't involved with me because I was strange. But they did warm up to me, and I didn't force the issue. I didn't, get in their face and try to force the issue. But the point I was going to say is I didn't take my BC powders with me, and I had a bad headache, and inside the medicine cabinet was Excedrin. I don't know what it was called, but probably Excedrin Extra Strength or something. And I read on the, the ingredients, and it looked to me like it had 250 milligrams of aspirin and 250 milligrams of what you would consider like Tylenol. And it had caffeine. I think it had the 65 milligrams of caffeine. Now, the way I understand it, caffeine is a vehicle. I don't understand that really, but a vehicle to get the pain reliever to where it needs to go faster. All I know is it worked. So a person who is adverse to taking my BC powder, that Excedrin worked really good. And my coffee is cooling down again because I always take too long. And I've already heated it up once, so I'm not going to go do that. But I am going to proceed to take my ivermectin. And I've got to get my syringe again, which is way back there. Oh, and since I've been talking about BC powders, I buy them in a box of 50. This box has not been opened yet. I just got it. And I got it at Walgreens. I normally get it at Walmart. But I'll open this and show you the powder, or the packet. They changed the packets. Years ago, it was wax, and it was just folded up. You would have to unfold it and crease it and then pour it in your mouth. Well, this is different. They have made them into these little envelopes. It's just a little envelope. You can see the BC part. You shake it all down to the end and tear off the top and then just pour it in your mouth. It's a lot easier than it used to be. But there's a box of 50. Now at Walgreens, like I discussed the other day, Walgreens prices are higher than Walmart. But they're more convenient because it's just down the street. But there, you can see, there's 50 of them in there. So let's just say there's 50, and I could just round it up. It wasn't $10, but it was close. I think it was $8.49. So divide $8.49 by 50. How much is that? So if we just say $10 divided by 50, then you're getting, if my math is right, you're getting 5 for $1. I'm going to have to check it out because my math is not always the best. Do, 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 do. Hey, hey, you're so far away. Hey. Okay. Do, 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 do. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to round it up. Well, I'll just round it to 9. $9 divided by 50. 18 cents a packet. That's pretty neat, right? Yeah, 18 cents a packet. I was going to say 20, so I was close. If it was $10, I'll just go ahead and do it that way. If it's $10, we'll just put 10 divided by 50 equals 20 cents a piece. So 5 for $1 is not bad, especially if it gets rid of your pain in a timely fashion. And if any of you have ever dealt with those headaches, then you know they're not fun. My syringe is way over there. Do, 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 do. Hey, hey, you're so far away. Hey, I'll have to keep track of time. Okay, I've got a little bit of time, not much. So, I'm going to take this syringe. I've used it several times. You can see the needle. And this top is rubber. So I'm just going to stick it in there. Turn it upside down. And bring me some. This is a wormer. It's a liquid injectable wormer for animals. For cows, for swine, for horses. Now what they've got is a syringe full of a gel that you give to your horse. And you give the whole thing to them. And then it's good for a year. 6 months. Really need to look and see where that syringe is. So I'm going to take a milliliter, but I'm not injecting it in my body. I probably could, but I'm not suggesting that you do that. And that's good enough. So, you can see, it's a milliliter. Close enough. I need to find out how long I've been on my treatments, my cancer treatments. I really don't know all the facts, but I do know, I wish I would have known anyway about hormone therapy. Not that I like it, I don't. But I mean, way long time ago when they're saying you need to take chemo and you need to take radiation, which I refused to do. But they didn't offer hormone therapy. So then you get to the point where, you know, you're a lot worse off. I didn't need to be a lot worse off. But what they said was, you know, it's terminal. Meaning no cure. But if you take these treatments, you could live for years. Well, they didn't tell me how many years, just you could live for years, as long as you don't miss your treatments. So what they're doing is starving the cancer from what it wants, which it wants my hormones. So I'm taking a pill every day that prevents me from creating my female hormones. And then I get shots every 28 days that degrade my receptors of those hormones. So they're getting me from both ends. Literally, I take a pill and then they shoot those shots in my butt. It's one shot, but it's too big for one syringe. So it's 2 syringes, one in each butt cheek, which I don't like. But then I'm also on something called Zometa, which is to help build up my bones because my cancer went into my bones. And I really ought to call that first doctor in, not the very first doctor, but the first doctor in Kennewick. She told me, she says, I can melt that cancer away. I'm going, wow, really? But she said, in so doing, it would leave a lot of holes in my bones, and then my bones would collapse on themselves. So it was like we had to do this little dance. We couldn't melt the cancer away too fast, and we needed to build up the bones at the same time. So that's what I've been doing. But I'm not sure how long it's been, but it seems like it's been at least a year and a half, if not 2 years now. When my nose is wet, I'm sorry. But I asked somebody the other day when I could go off of them, because I thought that I only had to take them about a year and a half or so. And she says, I don't know of anybody who's ever gone off of them. But my numbers are way down. And part of that is I've been taking ivermectin along with the hormone therapy. And I'm going to see the doctor this coming Thursday, and I'll find out about my scan that I did the other day. And I worry about it because I did get carried away with sugar, and cancer loves sugar. So there you go. You've got to watch what you put in your body. I'm not good at that. I forget. And then I got Pepsi in the house, and then there I am just drinking it and drinking it and drinking it. And when you're drinking that, you're not drinking water. So, I mean, I didn't do myself a good service by doing that. And I've been having a cup of coffee every day, which I put creamer in that has sugar in it. So if I was eating correctly, I would not be having coffee. I would be having a breakfast. And then you have to watch what you have for breakfast. You can't, there's so many things that we take for granted that are good. We're saying, okay, well, this is a good breakfast. Well, no. Sweetened things, processed things. Say you had a packet of instant oatmeal. I'm not sure that that's good for you. It has things added to it to make it taste good. And then I think milk is okay. But everything, it seems like has carbs. So you have to kind of watch that. And then you find out that that's probably all a lie. In other words, we take these medications so our sugar level goes down. But the disease is still there, I guess, in the background doing its thing. And there are things you can do naturally, but, are you going to do it? Are you going to forget and just do other things? In fact, I just remembered I've got boiled eggs in the fridge. They're saying the best way to have eggs is boiled, because then you don't have any grease and stuff in it, too. I like boiled eggs, so I need to go do that. But on Sundays, Diego makes breakfast, so I'll be doing the breakfast thing pretty soon. So anyway, you saw me put my stuff in here, right? And my numbers have gone down. And I need to talk to that first doctor about that, too, because she was telling me, I thought she said 1,400 and then 1,300 and then 12 and 11, and But my numbers are down. We'll see what they are now, but they were down this last time, 125 and 150, which is still really good when you compare to the beginning 2 years ago. So I don't know, but I do know that I got carried away with my Pepsi Cola. It's not funny, but when it tastes just right, when you pour it over ice and it's fizzing and doing its thing, you know what I mean. It starts jumping around in there. Anyway, there's a nice little bite to it. It just tastes wonderful, and I found myself, I hate to use the word guzzle, but I found myself just really enjoying it. So I know that wasn't good. And I haven't been drinking water like I should. For these, for the Zometa, that's an IV. It goes in with an IV. And it used to be that I did it once a month. Now it's once every 3 months. But it is to help build up my bones. And I don't think they're going to be able to really tell me anything about that with the PET scan. The PET scan is to see the cancer. The last time I had a PET scan, I had a little piece, just a little piece of cancer under my pectoral muscle or on my pectoral muscle or something like that. But in the beginning, 2 years ago, I had cancer everywhere. I mean, everywhere. And I asked the doctor to show me. It was on my skull. It was in my bones, basically everywhere. But there was like a 2-inch mass between my lungs in my heart cavity. That's what one person had said anyway. And then there was a vertebrae in my back just above my waistline that was covered. And then there was across my hips. And the doctor that was doing my breast reconstruction surgery was the first one who told me about these results, and he said even my larynx. So all that is gone. But, like the part that they were saying was a mass in between my lungs and my heart cavity, one doctor said, no, that's not a mass. It is lymph nodes. The lymph nodes catch the cancer before it goes out, or disease, whatever. So it's confusing. And so for the last time, I had that scan done. That was the only place, was in the pectoral muscle. And this is the side where they did a mastectomy. This is the side that had cancer. The other side did not. And so I'm hoping and praying. I mean, it would be literally wonderful if it was all gone. And what they called it was inactive. To me, it seems like it would be dead, right? Because the idea is to starve the cancer. And if you starve it, it will dry up and go away, I believe. So anyway, for you people out there, I'm not a doctor and I can't say nothing about what happens with somebody else. But I just saw somebody's post where they are starting chemo and radiation, and I'm going, oh my God. You know, because it just seems like there's other ways. They told me, like I said, they told me it was terminal. The only way they would be using radiation now is to alleviate pain, which thank God I haven't had any. And another thing, it was a doctor in Puyallup while I was with my sister that said that she could see healing in my bones, and she could see healing in the fractures in the vertebrae where the cancer had covered it. I didn't know there were fractures in there. So there were fractures in that vertebrae, not just cancer. But she could see healing in those fractures. So, I mean, it gave me hope, gave me great hope. So we starved the cancer and we build up the bones. And that's been my therapy. So I do this IV, and in order for the IV to work, there are some components. I need 64 ounces of fluid a day. It doesn't have to be water. They just need fluid. And then I have to take, I believe it's 1,200 milligrams of calcium and 1 unit of vitamin D, which I don't know how they do that. It's not milligrams, but it's like almost 1,000. I want to say mcgs, but I don't know if that's the truth. And I am going to have to watch the time. I'm going to have to go. Listen, you people. Love you. Peace. Always peace. Be a peacemaker. Okay? Talk to you later.